This is TJ Friedl. I don't like TJ Friedl. You're probably wondering why. Seems like a nice guy. You're right. I should have grabbed a worse picture. TJ Friedl has no juice. In 2023, he was in the bottom 11th percentile in average exit velo, in barrel rate, and in hard hit rate with just 12th percentile bat speed. What would you guess he slugged this year? Savant's guess is a paltry 321, good for the 3rd percentile in baseball. In 2023, TJ Friedl slugged a ridiculous 467, almost 150 points better. How? How does this happen? It tormented me. Is it luck? I mean, it has to be, right? So I've been waiting for his comeuppance. I've been tracking box scores. I've been lurking behind the scenes. I won't go as far as actually watching Reds games, but I've come close. The year is 2025. TJ Friedl still has no juice, but he's doing it again. At this point, I had to look myself in the mirror. I mean, maybe it's me. It must be me. Maybe there's a world where TJ Friedl is an elite ball player, and it just might be this one. Okay, I'll call myself out. That was definitely a little too epic, but this is important, so let's get into it. Today, I'm going to give some background on the expected stats on Baseball Savant and why they are inherently flawed. We'll talk about XBA, XSlug, and XWOBA. I will not provide background on expected OBP. Savant refuses to add expected OBP to the main player page, perhaps because they fear I will become too powerful, given the tools to create XOPS, and to that, honestly, I think that's fair. The expected stats were created to better measure a player's true skill. Baseball is an incredibly random sport. That's what makes it amazing. But it means that our statistics, like batting average and slugging percentage, have a lot of noise in them. What does that mean? Essentially, the batter has no control over what happens after the ball is hit. The expected stats aim to remove defense from the equation and evaluate only what the batter can control. Let's look at this play, for example. Now, ChatGPT said I have to get rid of the broadcaster audio here, which is a shame because this is a really good call. And now I have to sit here awkwardly until it's over. In the box score, this is just like any other base hit for Gavin Sheets. What do you think? Pretty lucky, right? Savant agrees. This is not good contact from Sheets, and in trying to determine his true skill, this really should count against him instead of for him. The expected stats are based on only what the batter can control: exit velocity and launch angle. Based on how often a similar batted ball is fallen for a hit, Savant assigns the batted ball an expected batting average. Savant assigns the batted ball an expected slugging percentage based on the number of total bases earned from similar batted balls. Now, if you have a phobia of complicated things or math, if I can figure out how to put a timestamp on the screen, I recommend that you skip ahead. WOBA, or weighted on-base average, is a fancy and complicated sounding stat that essentially looks to create a better all-encapsulating hitting statistic than OPS. WOBA weights each event, be it a walk, a double, etc., based on how much each event contributes to actually scoring runs. It's on the same scale as OBP, meaning roughly that 400 is elite and 300 means you want to tear your eyes out. XWOBA is calculated the same way, but the events used are the expected events, not the actual events. Let's do an example. Muting Gary Cohen here nearly broke my soul. I'm sorry, Gary. I didn't mean it. This ball was hit by Brandon Nimmo at 95 miles an hour at 37 degrees. Batting average, slugging percentage, and WOBA consider this to be an out and only an out. But XBA, XSlug, and XWOBA view this on a spectrum. Based on how similar balls have fallen, it's actually .902 outs, 0 singles, .021 doubles, .004 triples, and .074 home runs. If I add up the hit probabilities, I get .098 as my expected average. And if I add in the total base weights, I get 348 as my expected slug. With no walks, that means XBA is the same as XOBP, so I could add XOBP to XSlug to get XOPS if I really wanted to, which I definitely don't. Those of you that skipped the math section, welcome back. Let's recap. The point of the expected stats is to better quantify skill by removing luck and defense, and they're determined by using exit velo and launch angle. Now, let's move on to step 2. For an entire year, for the entire league, XBA, XSlug, and XWOBA are nearly identical to the actual batting average, slugging percentage, and WOBA. This makes sense. Over the entire population of all batted balls on the season, the randomness evens out and returns to average. For example, if I flip a coin 4 times, I could get all heads for an 100% heads rate when I expected to get heads just twice at 50%. If I continue flipping the coin, and if you do this 10,000 times, please do not select the show flipping animation because, oh my god. But you can see the percentage will get closer and closer to the true percentage of 50%. That's essentially what's happening with the expected stats. Now, on that same token, we should see the same thing for players' careers. We should see years where a player overperforms and underperforms their ex-WOBA. And for a career, we should see the two in line with one another. So if that's the case, why has TJ Friedl outperformed his ex-WOBA every year? And why is he 44 points better for his career? Why has Alex Bregman outperformed it 9 of 10 years? And why is he 18 points better for his career? Why has Jose Altuve outperformed it 9 of 10 years? And why is he 30 points better for his career? Why has Nolan Arenado outperformed it every single year? And why is he also 30 points better for his career? What's going on? It shouldn't be possible to do this, which means something is wrong. It seems like we're missing something. That's because hitters don't just control EV and launch angle. There's a third factor: batted ball direction. Remember this? 95 miles an hour at 37 degrees? Per Savant, this ball has an XBA of 091, an X-slug of 314, and an X-WOBA of 167. But now, watch this. This is a really tough one to mute because you can really feel how much the broadcaster loves TJ Friedl. And I said some mean things earlier that I feel bad about, so this would have been a really nice moment to reconcile, but I mean, come on, you can see how electric this guy is. This is TJ Friedl hitting the exact same batted ball. 95 off the bat, 37-degree launch angle. Savant considers these two batted balls exactly the same. Same XBA, same X-slug, and same X-WOBA. But these two balls are not the same. Nimmo hits his ball to the opposite field. In doing so, he puts side spin on the ball, causing it to tail and die out. His batted ball goes 310 feet. TJ Friedl pulls his ball, putting backspin on it, causing it to travel further. His batted ball goes 340 feet, 30 feet further. So I went bigger. I looked at all 95 mile an hour, 37-degree launch angle batted balls, and on average, the pulled ones go 351 feet. The non-pulled ones go just 340 feet, 11 feet fewer. If you consider every single fly ball in the StatCast era, hold on to your hats, the pulled fly balls travel 337 feet to just 307 feet, a ridiculous 30-foot difference. Okay, but does this really matter? Over the history of StatCast, batters hit 481 and slug 1.690 on pulled fly balls. And this is actual, not any of that expected stuff. Non-pulled balls, 197 and a 484 slug. Pulled balls have better results, but Savant treats them the same as non-pulled balls. You can really see it on a micro level. Here's a 104 mile per hour, 42-degree fly ball. X-WOBA has the difference between pulled and non-pulled at just 10 points. Real results show a difference of 763. Don't worry. For those of you not fluent in WOBA, I'll also show you batting average, where there's a 7-point difference in XBA and a ridiculous 400-point difference in actual results. What about a 97-27 fly ball? Nearly identical X-WOBAs and an absolutely blasphemous 1,116-point difference in actual results. In batting average terms, a 557-point difference. Jeez. And what about bad contact? 86-35. We see the same thing. The pulled balls outperform the non-pulled balls by a wide margin, while the expected stats turn a blind eye. Now, I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to guarantee things when doing statistics, but luckily, I'm not a statistician, so I can guarantee you that you will see the same exact pattern on every single fly ball. Clearly, given the same inputs, a pulled ball and a non-pulled ball are not the same. A pulled ball has the ability to travel farther, which makes it more valuable and more likely to fall for hits and extra base hits. In trying to filter out noise, Savant has filtered out exactly what makes TJ Friedl and lots of other players very effective. This is pulled fly ball percentage year over year, where red means very elite. Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve, Nolan Arenado, Jose Ramirez, Isak Paredes, Cedric Bones, Ozzy Albies. Hold on. I have more names. I'm just kind of sick of making this graphic. But go look at Spencer Steer. Go look at Eugenio Suarez. Go look at Rhys Hoskins. Go look at Pete Crow Armstrong this year. See what he's doing. Remember when Matt Carpenter had that ridiculous year in 2022? Go check him out. The goal of the expected stats is to remove randomness. But as these guys have shown you, pulling the ball is a repeatable skill. It's not random. To pull the ball, you have to make contact out in front of the plate. This means you have to decide even quicker if you want to swing at a pitch. It's a trade-off. Either I swing early with less information about the pitch, and if I'm right, I'm rewarded with better contact, or I swing late with more information about the pitch, but I'm penalized with worse contact. Savant decided to penalize Friedl anyway, for doing exactly the thing he has made an entire career in. Okay, so why did I spend 11 minutes fighting against a made-up stat, and what can we do about it? MLB is using the expected stats to grow the game, which is awesome because the expected stats are awesome. Here they are being used on the StatCast broadcast, and here they are being used by the Phillies. Unfortunately, in its current state, the expected stats are wrong. At this point, the regular stats are more indicative of batter skill than the expected ones. But there's a really easy fix. Instead of using all comparable batted balls to determine the expected stats, let's use comparable balls and account for direction with balls hit in the air. So my 95 mile an hour, 37 degree launch angle balls that are pulled should be compared only against other balls that are pulled. So when Friedl was credited with an 091 xBA, a 314 x slug, and a 167 x WOBA, if we look at comparable pulled balls, he should have been credited with a 330 xBA, a 1.245 x slug, and a 614 x WOBA. Now this does open up a can of worms. Direction-adjusted x WOBA will close some of the gap between expected and actual, but not all of it. Hitters with hitter-friendly home ballparks where more fly balls leave the yard, like Cincinnati or Colorado, will still outperform their direction-adjusted x WOBAs. So maybe we need a park-adjusted directional x WOBA, kind of like we did with OPS+. And what about ground balls? I'm not as concerned with grounders, because it's very hard to slug on grounders, but maybe we adjust for direction here as well. But then it raises the question of if we have enough post-shift band data to make a change. And what about the barrel definition? A ball can be classified as a barrel at least 98 miles per hour. But for pull-side barrels, should that threshold be lower? And for opposite field barrels, maybe it should be higher. As you can see here, a 95-26 ball that is pulled and not considered a barrel by Savant has better results than a 98-26 ball hit the opposite way that is considered a barrel by Savant. Okay, so a lot to unpack here. Bottom line is, everything on Savant is awesome, and I think with a few tweaks, it can be even better. And I'm sorry for the mean things I said about TJ Friedl and the Reds. I hope you can forgive me.